Yo, Jazz, we ready to go? Let's get it. I want you to say it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Life of List.
Let's go.
Don't let this moment past you. Grab you a pen and a pad. Life is moving too fast. Slow down, live you a life of list. Don't let this moment past you. Grab you a pen and a pad. Life is moving too fast. Slow down, live you a life.
Yo, what's up? Another episode of My Life of List. Possibility Studios, Paradigm Shift, and the one, the only, my producer, DJ Jazz. Gotta show us some love. Yo, listen, thank you so much for pushing that play button and chiming into another episode of My Life of List podcast. We got a really cool story today called Cool People. But you know I can't jump in without going back and giving you a little backstory. So a few years ago, I stayed around the corner from a Wal-mart. And I noticed as I started to go into the Walmart more frequently, because I do the shopping in my house for the most part. Now, you know, my wife, she does a lot of cool things for our family. In fact, my family would be in turmoil, complete destruction without my wife. She knows absolutely everything about everybody at any time. You could wake her up out of a cold sleep and ask her, what's Social Security number? She'll tell you everybody's Social Security number. Like, she is completely tapped in. But what she does not do is grocery shop well. She doesn't. In fact, she takes way too long. So a few years ago, I took over the grocery shopping because I supermarket sweep. I don't get anything different. I get the same thing all the time. And so I know the business. But when I go, I don't normally talk to folks, right? I'm usually in, I'm usually out, unless I see some people that I know. I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to get these groceries. So I go into Walmart and I begin to go at the same time. Like, once I find that sweet spot where people are not there, then I go during the empty time so I can go in, I can go out. I don't have to say, excuse me, pardon me, let me reach over to get that mayo. I don't have to do any of that. I just go in and I go out. But what I also noticed is that the specific time that I started to go, that there was people there working the same shifts. And there just happened to be these two people. And I would go to one, her name was Stephanie. And Stephanie was really nice, really sweet young lady. But every now and again, her and Jacob they would kind of mess with each other. Jacob would walk by and he would like do something like knock over her hand sanitizer, or he would pull a plastic bag out and throw it on the floor behind her. Just doing really silly stuff, right? Really cute stuff. And so I started to notice like they had this thing going. And so I asked Stephanie, I was like, Stephanie, what's up with you and Jacob? She's like, oh, we're dating. And I was like, I knew it. Something was happening. You two were too cool, not only with me, but with each other, to just kind of let this be a little work thing, right? And so I started going to Walmart, and I would only go to Stephanie or Jacob. And I got to know that Stephanie was in school, and she was trying to buy a car, and she was trying to get out of her mom's house and get her own place. And Jacob was also a young aspiring educator that was trying to get his feet on the ground, and they both met at Walmart and started exchanging dreams and goals and hopes, and they started dating, and then they started doing those things together. And I just started noticing that my Walmart trips that I initially hated, I started to enjoy. I actually started enjoying going to Walmart, not because Walmart is so great. In fact, I still don't like going into Walmart. If you put me in a random Walmart, if I want to go in and go out, I'll stop at like a convenience store. I'll stop at like a Walgreens or CVS or something quick, because Walmart, you got to park, you got to walk all the way in, you got to walk all the way to the back of the store, you got to get the thing, you got to stand in line, you got to be around the people. But at this particular Walmart, I actually began to enjoy it. In fact, I began to anticipate my trips to Walmart, not because of the great prices, not because of the wonderful food and product, but because of Stephanie and Jacob. And it made me think about my wife and I, and the things that we enjoy and the things that we don't enjoy. And they happen to be centered around cool people. My wife loves to travel. In fact, she's the type that wants to be dropped off in the middle of nowhere. Like, if she could helicopter in, if you could like lower her down on a ladder in a place where nobody speaks the language that she speaks, the better. If she could die from something, the better the adventure. If she could possibly get stabbed or kidnapped, the better the adventure, the bigger the story. And I don't like traveling like that. I want to be in a spot where it is the most commercial It is the most touristy where I can find somebody that speaks the language that I speak, somebody that, this is the type of space that I want to be in. But what I've noticed is regardless if we are in local places that are remote or whether we are in touristy places, what I find is that I find the cool people. That's what I find out the most, is that people make the experience. People make the experience enjoyable. No matter where I go, whether it's on a cruise, whether I'm in Mexico or Turkey or Bulgaria, I've traveled around the world. I've been to different places. And whenever I come back, I talk about the people. Now, why is that important? Because in communities, people normally stay because of people. You have some folks that want to have land and property and big houses, and they want to be out off the street, and they want all this isolation. But for the most part, if you live in a neighborhood that you enjoy, it's because of the people. In fact, if you are in a bad scenario, if you're in a bad neighborhood or a bad job, people stay because of people. People also leave because of people. If you're in a good neighborhood with bad neighbors, you leave. If you're in a bad neighborhood with good neighbors, then you're more likely to stay. If you have a bad job but good people, but you work with good people, then you're more likely to stay. But if you have a good job with bad people, you're more likely to leave. Why is it important to find cool people? Well, I think there's 3 reasons it's really important to attach yourself, to find yourself surrounded by cool people. Number 1 is you get to be yourself. Anybody that you can be yourself around, whether it's with the cashier at Wal-mart, whether it's the job in your neighborhood. Like I feel good being able to garden in my neighborhood and my neighbors asking, hey, Derek, how's your okra going? I absolutely love it. I love being able to work in a place where I can show up and I can be energetic or I can be low energy, where I can cry, where I can laugh, I can smile. I love being in a place where I can be myself. In fact, I thrive in those places where I can be my most genuine and my most authentic self. I'll tell you what, it's exhausting being somebody else. I don't know if you've ever gone somewhere where you had to hide your emotions or hide who you really are or pretend to be something that you're not just so that people around you can be comfortable. It's draining. I leave empty. I pour so much into being somebody else that I crave being in environments where I don't have to be that. Being around cool people, number 1, you get to be yourself. Number 2, you get to allow others to be themselves. I cannot tell you how refreshing it is when I'm around somebody and they feel like they're low energy, but they feel like they have to perk up. And I notice that they're not being genuine. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, I'm just going through some stuff right now. I didn't want to bring it here. And I'm like, oh, please, let's stop talking about work. Oh, please, let's stop talking about this project or whatever's happening right now. You need to unplug. You need to unwind. Do you need to vent? We need to grab a drink. We need to grab some coffee. We need to lay on the floor. We need to take a walk. I absolutely love being able to be there for others. 1, I like just being myself. Number 2, I like when other people are able to be themselves. Why is it important that we create spaces for other people to be their most genuine and authentic selves? Because I don't believe enough of those places exist. Social media tells us we have to look a certain way and we got to sound a certain way. When we go into certain workplaces, they establish what professionalism is for us. I cannot tell you how many times I've been told that my hair is unprofessional. For those of you that don't know me, that haven't seen me, I have locks. I have long locks. They hang on my shoulder. I cannot tell you how many times I've been told that locks are unprofessional. I cannot tell you how many times I've been told wearing a beard, having a beard is unprofessional. In fact, I used to work for a company. I worked for a company for 8 or 9 years. And every time my hair got too long or every time my beard got too long, my manager, my supervisor would be like, hey, Derek, hair's getting a little long, huh? And I was like, whoa. And being a young person at that moment, coming into who I was, I would go ahead and cut my hair. And I would try to present and tuck and fit and tie and knot and all the things that they thought professionalism was. The reason I think, which is number 2, we should provide safe spaces for other people so that they can show up as their most authentic selves. Number 3, last but not least, I think when we attach ourselves to cool people, we get to be who we are. That's number 1. Number 2, they get to be who they are. Number 3, we get to example for everyone else what authenticity looks like. When you see two people who are vibing and they're jiving and they're having a really good time and they're not putting on airs for other people, they set the example for other people to be that thing. I absolutely love it. I know I've said that so many times when I'm sitting and I'm watching people, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's at an airport, in a park, and they are doing whatever they want to do and they don't care about who's watching. They're laughing loud, they're holding hands, they're kissing, they're dancing, they're singing to a song. Whatever it is, I absolutely love it. When two people are so comfortable with each other that they are so zoned in into being their most authentic selves with each other. Why is surrounding yourself with cool people so important? Number one, you get to be your most authentic self. I cannot tell you how important that is, how freeing that is, how liberating that is. It quenches your thirst. It satiates your spirit. When you're able to be your most authentic self, it feels so good. I can feel this down in my toes right now. My fingertips are tingling when I'm talking about being your most authentic self. It is so good. Number one reason to surround yourself with cool people is because you get to be your most authentic self. Number two, you allow them to be their most authentic selves. You get to support them. You get to be naturally and genuinely curious about them. You get to ask them questions that illuminate and withdraw their biggest personality parts outside of themselves. You get to be that space for them. Number three, when I vibe and the person that vibes with me and we're both vibing together, we example what community looks like, what a partnership looks like, what friendship looks like when two people are able to cohabitate and be their most authentic selves together. We get to example that not only to our friends and our families and the people we work with, but our communities, our churches, our bands, our camps, our organizations, our tribes, whatever we're a part of. When we're our most authentic selves together, that energy bounces back and forth. I absolutely love it. So I want you to stop. I want you to think, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, look to your left, look to your right. And my hope and my desire for you is that you are surrounded by cool people who encourage you to be yourself and you encourage them to be themselves. And you all together can example to the world and to the community what it looks like when people get together and are allowed to be genuinely authentic in safe spaces. Cool people. Thanks again for listening to another episode of My Life of List, hosted by yours truly, Derek Sire, powered by Paradigm Shift, recorded in the Possibility Studios. Signing off until next time.
Don't let that small moments pass you. Grab you a pen and a pad. Life is moving too fast. Slow down, live you a life of list.